Good evening. Welcome to the Pullman City Council meeting for this Tuesday, June 27th. Nice to have all of you here today. And Dee, would you please call roll?
Mayor Johnson.
Present.
Councilmember Benjamin.
Present.
Councilmember Dubin.
Here.
Councilmember Guido.
Here.
Councilmember McCall.
Here.
Councilmember Parks.
Here.
Councilmember Weller.
Present.
Councilmember Wright.
Here.
Under announcements tonight, we have a few of them. And first of all, City Hall administrative offices will be closed in observance of Independence Day on Tuesday, July 4th. It gives all of you an opportunity to go to Sunnyside Park and see our fireworks display put on by the Pullman Chamber of Commerce and the city. And we'll have fire department there, the police department, a lot of things for the kids, plus music, first of all by the community band, 5:30, and Dan Marr follows that. And after that, we have DJ Goldfinger with great music. He picked out some beautiful music last year, sort of like off the Kingpin's menu. And we also had the Kingpin sound system, so all that's going on. And again, great event at Sunnyside Park. And Transit will be going there, so you don't have to park your car by. You can take Pullman Transit, plenty of park and rides throughout the town. Youth Summer Reading Program continues through July 29th with story times, live performances, programs for youth of all ages. Kids also will complete the 10 to Try Summer Reading Challenge to earn a mini Squishmallow or a mini Succulent and a chance to win a Kindle paperwork. Okay, that one I'll go for. But anyway, a set of books. Adults are invited to participate in book bingo. All readers win, and they also get bingo or blackout for the chance to win more prizes. And police had a great turnout for great readers on the Neal Public Library story time. Fire will be there this Thursday to read. How many in the back are doing the reading? Okay, there, okay, we got one. Oh, the chief gets to read too, okay, good. I'm up on the 13th, so good to see all of you guys doing that. July is National Park and Recreation Month. Pullman is celebrating the theme, Where the Community Grows. We have a proclamation out there designating July as Parks and Recreation Month. And whereas Parks and Recreation is an integral part of the communities throughout the country, including the city of Pullman. Whereas the Park and Recreation promotes health and wellness, improving the physical and mental health of people who live near parks. And I'm not going to read all of it, but it goes on to say the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and we have designated that as such here in Pullman. Also, the concerts in the park return to Rainey Park starting July 12th. Continue every Wednesday at 6 o'clock through August 16th. Movies in the park will take place July 14th, 21st, 28th, and August 4th at dusk at Rainey Park. Harrison Totlock background, the playground right now is upgraded, it's complete. See a lot of people out there enjoying it. With that, it's time for me to turn things over to Fire Chief Mike Heston for a presentation this evening.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Can I have Lieutenant Chelsea Miller come up at this time? So Chelsea attended the National Fire Academy, attended the 2-year program. It's the Managing Officer program. And this program emphasizes leadership, community risk reduction, firefighter safety, and community safety. They talk about the latest training issues that are out there. They talk about the analytical tools for decision making, and she also had to do a capstone project that benefits the department and the community. So, Chelsea, what was your capstone project?
A mental health program.
Mental health programs. So we've had several officers in our department through it, so I wanted to award their certificate that they send to me for the Managing Officer program to Chelsea Miller. So, Chelsea, congratulations.
Congratulations, Chelsea. Our next item on the agenda is public comment. Anybody who would like to make a comment on any final action the city is taking tonight? Seeing none, we move on from there. We now go to the consent agenda, and Mike Urban will be reading that after we have, first of all, the council give us permission to read by consent by title only. Do I have a motion on that?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Mike Urban.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, your consent agenda tonight is item 1, a motion to dispense with the reading of the June 6, 2023 meeting minutes and approve them as submitted. Item 2, a motion to approve disbursements for accounts payable checks numbered 1100 110594 through 110639, totaling $655,545.68. A motion to approve, number 3, a motion to approve disbursements for accounts payable checks numbered 110640 through 110658, electronic transfers 113, 114, 1011, and 1017 through 1022, payroll direct deposits numbered 85687 through 86019, totaling $1,511,597.71. A motion, number 4, a motion to approve disbursements for accounts payable checks numbered 110659 through 110727, totaling $193,994.04. Item number 5, a motion to approve disbursements for accounts payable checks numbered 110728 through 110739, totaling $464.12. Item 6, a motion to approve disbursements for accounts payable checks numbered 110740 through 110830, totaling $3,055,633.99. Item number 7, a motion to authorize a lodging tax grant to the Palouse Summer Series in the amount up to $30,000 for the 2023 Palouse Summer Series baseball tournament. Item number 8, a motion to unrestrict lodging tax funds of $700,000 dedicated to the Lawson Garden House. Item number 9, 2023 salary adjustment for non-represented staff. And just, it went away. Item number 10 was off my screen.
2024 cost of living adjustment, COLA, for all non-represented staff, item number 10.
Thank you, Mayor.
Is there any item the council like offer discussion? Seeing the consent agenda consists of items 1 through 10. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now we're going to adjourn the meeting of the City Council. We're going to convene the meeting of the Metropolitan Park District Special Meeting. First of all, we have a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes for the Metropolitan Park District Special Meeting of November 29th and approve them as submitted. Do I hear a motion on that?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That we go to a Parks Project Activities Update and a special presentation on the Veterans Park. We go to Kirk Damon, who is our Parks and Facility Director. Kirk?
Thanks, Mayor, members of council. So tonight I wanted to update the council on some projects. I think maybe if you recall back in the fall when we were presenting our 23-24 biennium budget, I talked about how this would be a busy year with bond projects and a lot of CIP projects that we had going on. So I wanted to take this opportunity to update council, or maybe in this case, the Metropolitan Parks Board of projects. So Mary's Park, this project started in fall of 2019 with grading and the installation of the train structure there, followed by the kind of forest structure that we have there, and eventually opened last September to the public. Have found that this has become a very popular park, and especially year-round with that pour-in-place surfacing. The one thing we've heard from parents is that it's nice in the winter, or when it's wet outside, we can go to a playground and the kids aren't getting wet, they're not getting dirty, that type of stuff. So very heavily used. Have a couple more projects that hopefully will be coming forward here soon. Paving the parking lot out there at Mary's Park. Today we opened a bid that staff are reviewing, and then hopefully we'll be bringing forward to the City Council at the July 11th meeting for their approval. A little orientation, this is Johnson Avenue down here. So the parking lot would provide 28 total parking spaces, for those being ADA. Other components of that will be a ADA restroom that will go kind of here in this corner. Some challenges of connecting that to city sewer and through that basalt layer that goes there, because they do, in order to connect to the city sewer, have to go back across Johnson Avenue. So that could provide some challenges there. And then a picnic shelter that will go kind of in the southwest corner up here of the playground. Families will be able to transition right off the play surface into the picnic shelter. So the picnic shelter there, about a 20 by 30 structure. That is basically what we will be putting up. Hopefully we'll get started in the next couple weeks. And then the restroom, a 2-stall ADA accessible. There will be a drinking fountain on the front of this as well. So hopefully we'll get those completed here yet this year. Krugel Park. So these are pictures of our old picnic shelter there. Demo started on this project back in the fall. And this is what is there today finished. Had some challenges with the concrete pad and running into cold and freezing weather. The pad was poured about mid-November, right as the very cold weather set in. As the snow melted, we started to see some cracking and flaking. Worked with the concrete company and they report it for us. So kind of put us a little behind schedule, but it's open to the public and being reserved and used. We do have some finish work to do on the perimeter, as well as get some electrical connected to the shelter as well. Staying at Krugel Park, some pictures of some of the older equipment, the merry-go-round, the elephant slide, a little train climbing structure. So those are items that we had removed. They went to the public surplus and auction, and there was some pretty heavy bidding on some of these older pieces that there's some emotional ties to. Back this spring, we installed this cone spinner right here and this 512 play structure got in, along with some what we call engineered wood fibers for playgrounds, or EWF. Yet to come this year, we have a swing set here. Right now, I think there are 3 different separate swing sets there, so this is consolidating all of them, and then also providing enough use area. Right now, we probably don't have enough use area for our swing set, so adding that. This down here will be a little 2 to 5 place structure, and then this other, I want to get the correct term, Unity rocker will be installed there. So I think those are due to ship about August 1st. So hopefully by the end of August or early September, we'll be installing those. Harrison Tot Lot. So pictured here are a lot of the old items, the castle, the saucer, I think a tugboat, a few other things. This was a complete overhaul, this playground. And that is of a couple of weeks, as the mayor said, heavily used. A lot of people out there hearing a lot of positive things about this. And just on the left there are just some of the different renderings of the pieces that were installed. We do still have some perimeter work to do around here, bring some dirt in up against the borders, probably put some bark down around the tree in the very back, where we have added some picnic tables to provide some shade there. So we will continue working on that. Sunnyside. Again, pictures of some older equipment, the tall slide, the swing sets there. I will note that the structure on the right is a 512-year-old structure. That is closest to the shelter, and we kept that in place for now, as it serves its purpose and in pretty good shape. And then some of the equipment today. The cone spinner, swing set, hold on. This tall tower replaced that old slide. Has turned out to be pretty popular. There were some things about it I was a little concerned about if we'd hear some comments from the public, but it's all been positive to this point. I will note that right back here are some ground slides for kids. We've They failed to ship one back in the fall. We received it today, and they're supposed to install on Thursday, so we will have those completed for the 4th of July. Part of this project as well was bringing in some more surfacing EWF for the entire playground, which has been installed. So we're glad we're able to update that as well during this time. Projects yet to come will be McGee Park. Right now, we're probably scheduled to start that around September 25th. So here are some pictures of some of the existing equipment. This, like Harrison, will be a full redo. So all this equipment will be taken out later on. And here's some renderings of what will go in there. You got swings, Omni, I wanted to point out, I'll do it on the next one. Yeah, just a variety of different pieces that range from 2 to 5-year-old equipment to 5 to 12. So I think this will be a really nice upgrade for McGee when we get this completed. Rainy Park, we are going to kind of the same thing as McGee. We'll take all this out in this kind of sandbox area. So all this equipment will come out probably right prior to Lentil Fest. The plan is to have all the equipment removed for Lentil Fest and then come back in the week after and dig out all the sand. And we're kind of expanding the footprint there as well. And then construction for this will probably begin about August 28th. It will be the same installer that is doing Rainy and McGee, so they're going to complete this one first and then move right to McGee after that. So this is renderings of what Rainy will look like. So a couple things that I wanted to, like this piece right here is called an Omni spinner, and then this is an oodle swing. These are kind of ADA components, so somebody in a wheelchair can roll up next to them and transition over onto the swing or this little kind of merry-go-round type structure. Military Hill, so these are some of the current pieces here. We will keep the spinner. There were a few other structures, so we're adding a new 5 to 12 playground structure. And then in the back, we'll replace swings and then the climbing structure that is back there as well. And then this will probably have about 2 truckloads of surfacing coming as well, which they're, I think, because of the challenge of the hill there, we'll actually have to blow in from the parking lot up to the playground. This will ship with the Krugel equipment around the 1st of August as well, so maybe the end of August or September, they will move on to this. Other improvements, Lawson Garden restrooms. We have purchased a prefab 2-stall ADA restroom. Again, actually this and the restroom going out at Mary's Park will be pretty much identical as we got it off of a contract. So the location for this will be right at the bottom of the hill as you enter into Lawson Gardens, kind of tucked back in against this tree. This is the Lawson Garden sign here, so for some orientation. An area that provides pretty easy access to the utilities of connecting to water and sewer, which are right in that area, as well as running electricity to that structure. Another project we have is demoing the old restrooms at Sunnyside Park, kind of tucked up there in the corner, looking at replacing it with a structure similar down here in the corner, just kind of this amphitheater type style, not necessarily this platform here, but some sort of shade structure where we can get, say, 2 to 3 picnic tables underneath it down by that lower pond. City playfields, we have this blue building. It's the old high school, I think, concession stand back when they used to play football there. Removing that play structure and putting in this hexagon shelter. Kind of excited for this to go in. The city playfields, the path around it is heavily used, especially by our elderly population. And there is really nowhere for them to take a break, other than climbing up into the bleachers at a baseball field or something like this. So excited to put this kind of right off the path, clean up this area, put, I think, 3 to 4 kind of small picnic tables for people to take a break, and then also just to provide a spectator area for Little League baseball games as well. So we'll get that completed yet this year. And then Mary's house, which had kind of become an attractive nuisance. That got finally burnt on June 15th. And I think Chief Heston would agree that it provided a pretty unique and special training opportunity, not even for the local fire department, but some of our rural communities, I think, came in and took advantage of it. So also like to thank Chief Heston and his crew for prepping in order for this to get burnt, as a lot of debris material had to be brought out. I think they hauled away 2 large dumpsters of material. So down in the bottom corner here is what the structure looked like as of last Friday. They're in the process of tearing it down. The one thing that we were not expecting was the amount of concrete that is in that structure. It was very well hidden, I think, and so the top floor is gone. Between the bottom and top floor, there's about 12 inches of concrete. The company that was taking it down actually had their little skid steer on top of it, cleaning up. A lot of rebar in there, so it's taken a little longer than we had hoped, but be glad to get that cleaned up. The old park shop down at the city playfields on South Street. Got a few more items to get cleaned up there, and then we will demo that as well. In our 26 capital improvement plan, we right now have budgeted for a shower restroom facility to be used by patrons of the RV park, is what we tentatively have scheduled there. Cemetery expansion. So back in the fall, we took out approximately 3 acres as to the south of the cemetery that was currently being farmed by Druffel and Sons. So we took it out of production. We were hoping to do this project yet this year. Engineering, we're doing it in-house engineering-wise. Kind of got set back when the water main or water line got broke in the river, and that pulled engineers off of this project onto that. So it's doubtful we'll get this completed this year, hoping maybe we can get it out to bid in the fall for construction next year. So what we're really looking to do on this is kind of mimic what this area up here is, what we call 2C, and kind of just take this layout and just move it on down the hill with the road around the perimeter. And depending on layout of the plots, could be up to 500 grave sites, just depending on whether they're full burials or niches. I know green burials have been talked about as well. So that's kind of probably more than likely we get to that next spring. With that, I will stop and take questions if there are any on any of the projects.
I'll just do a real quick one. There is room at the cemetery now for burials, because there's
Yes.
usually that room, well, you didn't get a chance to do something.
Yes,
We
yes.
have plenty of room for that. This is
still
just
have-
expansion for down the road.
Correct.
Okay, Nathan, I saw your hand.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Kurt, this is really awesome, seeing all these different playgrounds, having grown up on some of these, and remembering myself and hundreds of other kids getting their heads stuck in the bars on at McGee Park on that slide and burning our legs. This new equipment, especially with hotter temperatures, things like that, does that same temperature have, I mean,
I think everything going now is more of a plastic material or any metal. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, other than like say post and, structural things like that, but the actual play structures themselves, yeah, more of a
Okay.
plastic.
super. And so you said you're removing restrooms from a few of the parks. Does that mean was I wrong? Are they not being
So
removed?
the
or-
restrooms we're removing at Sunnyside are the very old restrooms that have been probably
Oh.
closed since
Hasn't been used.
2008
Oh,
or
okay.
9.
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, no restroom, okay, all right.
Nope, just removing old ones that longer serve a purpose.
It did serve at one time at the 4th of July. I took shelter in there when we had a snowstorm and hail during the 4th of July. So I did use it for one time. Yeah.
And one last thing, I just wanted to thank you. I know at McGee Park, I'm not sure about the other parks, there's been graffiti, and I know everybody has done an amazing job in your department at being able to take care of that, and I just wanted to say I really, really appreciate it.
It's one of the more frustrating things to deal with.
Yeah, thank you.
Megan?
So I just want to echo, great job on huge project. There are so many parks, and we're really fortunate to have so many parks in Pullman. I remember starting on the council, and you and I were taking a tour of all the different parks, and I was amazed at how much need to be upgraded. I too have fond memories. I just have to tell a story about a gal that I went to high school with and grew up in Pullman, and when she heard that the Harrison Tot lot was going to be upgraded, she had her eye on one particular piece of equipment that she wanted to somehow acquire. I don't know if she ever managed to do that, but she was determined. So, yeah, so I just want to applaud your team for the work that they did, and they are just an incredible asset to our community. I have a question about Krugel, because I live very close to Krugel, getting a lot of positive feedback about the upgrades there as well, and particularly the shelter. The building that's right next to the tennis courts, any plans there to upgrade that or demolish it, or kind of?
We haven't really discussed. It used to be
Okay.
the old restrooms,
Yeah.
similar to what was at Sunnyside, and then when we, probably around 2008-9, when the two new restrooms went in, that got closed, and we turned it into an art studio. That got used for quite a while. We still do a few things out of there. Use it for some storage. Our irrigation clocks are all part of that building as well. So I think it's something down the road to discuss if we want to, how we want to proceed with that building.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Eileen?
I just want to make sure that we get a shout out for Kiwanis that donated quite a bit of money for the equipment at Mary's Park specifically. So
Yes.
that, I'm proud of my membership in Kiwanis every time I look at the equipment at Mary's Park. I was just down there yesterday, and it is terrific, and there was swarms of kids down there.
So I think plan is once we parking lot restrooms, we'll do the proper dedication and acknowledge them.
Right. And I will be mentioning that again when I speak to Kiwanis this Thursday and thanking them for the $35,000 that they've
Yes.
put together for that. It's been amazing. And thank you very much for the update on Mary's Park, too, in terms of the building, because it's one thing we always were trying to get rid of that old building after it gets burned, but to hear it's that much concrete,
Yes.
it's good. Any other comments? With that, we'll move on to item number 3, the Veterans Park update. And we're looking forward to this one, as
you,
the
Mayor.
others.
Thank you, Mayor. So Pullman Veterans Park. This really started with a concept between American Legion Post 52 and Steve Austin, who's a WSU professor, about building a memorial park for our veterans here in Pullman. So Steve kind of took the lead on this and put together, I think, about 5 different slides of some renderings of what a veterans park might look like. And after working with the American Legion came to the city cemetery committee to discuss this proposal. And I think we went through COVID, which kind of put things on pause, the property situation as well, where do we build this? And then really city council kind of took that next step back in the fall when we purchased that almost 3 acres out front off of Fairmont Drive, as kind of really, and working with the landowners of this property to be used as the future home of Pullman Veterans Park. So once the city purchased that property, that kind of really led to some more meetings with American Legion and our cemetery committee, and especially Legion's commitment to kind of taking the lead on the fundraising portion of this project. Since then, we have hired Michael Sanchez. He's a WSU landscape architect who is under contract with us to really kind of take Steve Austin's work that he did, that everybody wants, they've seen it, we're like, wow, this is amazing. So really to take Steve's work and kind of turn it into something hopefully real. So we're working with Michael Sanchez at this point to kind of do a design development plan. So we're looking at things like site grading, landscaping, planning, irrigation, parking. I know one thing is to have a kiosk there that people can go and find where people are buried in the cemetery, in addition to our own GIS that we currently have. So really to package all this together, take feedback from the different committees, and then ultimately come up with a cost estimate of what do we have to fundraise to build this and make it a reality. So we're about to that point of kicking this fundraising effort off. And it will start at our July 4th celebration. The American Legion will have a table there handing out information. They'll have this very nice looking sign that City Administrator Mike Urban and his family have donated that will be placed out at the entrance of the cemetery. Thermometer there of how much has been raised, and when we kind of get our cost estimate, we'll put that to the top. So part of this as well, down the road, once we get a little farther with development, and the plan will be the ability for individuals to purchase pavers if they want to recognize or in memory of a veteran. So that's to come down the road as part of this as well. So before I go any further, like I said, I've mentioned the American Legion a couple times here, and I want at this time to bring forward Jerry Coker and Ted Weatherly with the Maynard Price American Legion Post 52 here in Pullman for a few words.
Good evening, Mayor Johnson, the City Council, Kurt and Mike. Thank you for your assistance in this project. A few words on why the members of Maynard Price Post 52 want to build this memorial. The members of Post 52 were able to come home. Others came home broken in mind and body. Others gave their last full measure and never came home. It is our responsibility as citizens of this great nation and members of the American Legion to make sure these people are never forgotten. This is the reason for this memorial and a kickoff donation. We want to thank everyone that is making this endeavor possible. Thank you.
Mayor, council, committee, Mayor and Parks Committee. The American Legion has written a check in the amount of $25,000 to start the donation off. And there is a high photograph of the check, but Jerry and Rich have the actual check, and we just gave it to the Parks Director. So anyway, thank you so much. Mayor Johnson was in on this from almost the beginning. Many meetings with family and trying to figure out what to do and how to go, and we appreciate that support, sir.
We also have a lot to thank the owner of that property, because they really helped us out too, and they lowered the price to help this. And they also allowed us to make installment payments, which was also very kind of them. And when you take a look at commercial value versus what they sold that property to us. We really benefited from that because they supported the veterans all the way. And so really appreciate all that cooperation. Mike?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you again, Legion. I'm going to apologize. We had to send our photographer home sick today, and we didn't scramble in time, so we'll set up another photo opportunity very quickly ahead of the other. I do apologize personally for this, but thank you so very much for your dedication to this. This has been a passion project of mine for the last 20 years, and my previous community didn't see the value in this, and I'm very glad I landed in one that has.
I think I saw Eunice take pictures, so she might be able to share it with us. So, thank you.
Any questions on Veterans Park?
Any questions? Seeing none? Thank you very much. And again, we appreciate the great cooperation with the American Legion, and we're looking forward to your presentation on the 4th of July. We'll have some comments then to make as well, as you make the flag raising, which is right at 6 o'clock at Sunnyside Park. So thank you for that. With that, at this point, entertain a motion to adjourn a meeting of the Metropolitan Park District.
So moved.
Second.
Move in second, and we'll reconvene a meeting of the City Council. With that, we now go to the regular agenda tonight. And the regular agenda calls for an ordinance. Kirk Damon is back up on the dais for that. This is an ordinance amending the city code, and this involves the cemetery committee members. So Kirk, the floor is yours.
Mayor, members of council, so before you tonight is an ordinance amending Pullman City Code Section 1.54 that deals with our cemetery committee. There were a few minor language edits in there. The most notable edit was to increase the number of cemetery committee members from 5 to 7, which becomes pretty consistent with other committees and commissions throughout other city departments. And so right now with 5, we sometimes struggle to get a quorum of 3, so maybe with the addition of a couple more members, we can reach that a little easier. And really, some of the drive behind this from current cemetery committee members were upcoming projects and decisions and input with Veterans Park and our expansion. So, big things coming at the cemetery, so I want to get people involved. So with that, I would take any questions.
Any questions on this matter? If not, do I hear a motion on this ordinance?
Move to adopt ordinance number 2311.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mike, do you want to read that?
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 23-11, an ordinance amending Pullman City Code Section 1.54.010, 1.54.030, and 1.54.050, and ordinances numbers 0525, 18-25, 0525, Section 4, 0525, Section 6, and other matters properly related thereto.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next comes resolution authorizing an addendum to the agriculture lease agreement, City of Pullman, and Richard Druffel and Sons. And again, Kurt.
Thank you, Mayor. So the resolution for addendum of agricultural lease. This lease was entered, a 10-year lease back in 2015 with Richard Druffel and Sons to farm 8 acres that were on the south side of the cemetery property. 3 of those acres were what we pulled out of production for expansion. So when we did that, the original agreement was for 8 acres at $80 an acre for $640 a year. So when we pulled out of production, obviously that pulled about 3 acres out. Back in March, we had our city surveyor go out and use on our boundary that we had established, set some markers and come up with kind of what is currently being farmed by Druffels and Sons. So it came to about 3.81 acres. One thing I would note that on the southeastern part of the cemetery is where when our maintenance and operation do their annual leaf pickup, that's where they dump a lot of their leaves and debris. And over years, that's got pushed out, leveled out, which has also taken some of land out of production as well. So we went, back in 15, it was at 8 acres. Now we're saying it's about 3.81 acres. still at $80 an acre for a total of $304.80 a year.
Any questions? If not, I hear a motion on this resolution.
Move to adopt resolution number R-27-23.
Second.
Moved and second. First of all, Mike, do you want to read the resolution?
Resolution number R-27-23, a resolution authorizing an amendment, an addendum of an agricultural lease agreement between the City of Pullman and Richard Druffel and Sons.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 3 tonight, a resolution approving a 6-year capital improvement plan for the City of Pullman for the calendar years 2024 through 2029. And our City Administrator, Mike Urban, is filling in for R.J. Lott, who happens to be for a couple of days. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening again, Council. So before you tonight is the resolution approving our 6-year capital improvement plan for the years 2024 through 2029, as the recommended action should properly read. The regular CIP project began last December with a call out to staff to start working on items. On April 11th, 2023, the CIP package was sent to the CIP committee, the Planning Commission, as well as the City Council to begin reviewing. On May 10th, the CIP committee met and considered the various items and moved forward a recommendation to adopt as presented. On May 24th, the Planning Commission also met to review the document and to find if it was concurrent with our comprehensive plan, and they too also made a recommendation to the council to adopt it as presented. On June 6th, the City Council properly held a public hearing and testimony was taken on the 6-year plan as it was presented, and now we bring it back to the City Council for final discussion with the recommendation of adoption. And I'd be happy to answer any questions of the council at the time.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, then do I hear a motion on this resolution?
Move to adopt resolution number R-20-23.
Second.
Moved and second. Mike, would you read that, please?
Thank you. Resolution number R-2823, resolution approving 6-year capital improvement plan for the City of Pullman for the calendar years 2024 through 2029.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We now move to item number 4. It's a resolution approving a 6-year transportation improvement plan for the city, calendar years 2024 to 2029. Once again, Mike Urban.
Thank you. So the transportation improvement plan is a subset of the capital improvement plan. What happens with the transportation improvement plan is that we pull out all the transportation specific related items and ask that the City Council adopt these separately in order to meet the Washington State Department of Transportation requirements to be included with the statewide transportation improvement plan. And this needs to be done at a certain time of the year. All the regular things of the last agenda item were true. The transportation improvement plan was included in all of the capital improvement, and all those meetings did happen as well. So staff is recommending that we adopt the 6-year transportation improvement plan for the years 2024, 2029 as upset of the capital improvement plan, and then we will send this off to the state for their records tomorrow probably. So I'd be happy to answer any questions on the transportation improvement plan.
Any questions? If not, do I hear a motion on this?
Move to adopt resolution number R-29-23.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by
Questions. So tonight, the 2 agenda items, wanted to give an opportunity for the board to discuss revenue source, and I'll tackle that here in just a second. And then the second piece is a material change policy. So first item tonight, when the Transportation Benefit District was adopted on April 11th through ordinance in our municipal code, one of the items that was not brought forward at that time was revenue source for this. And talking to each of the members of the board individually, we wanted to give an opportunity for you folks to get together in an open public meeting where we were observing those items and give you a chance to talk about what does the future of this transportation benefit district look like, because we certainly have a lot of projects here in the city by the Transportation Improvement Plan that was just formally adopted. And we wanted to see if there was a way or a time, or how would you like to go forward discussing revenue to work on some of these. I've been in front of the group discussing all the different revenue sources, and I've included those in your packet, but I'd be happy to answer any questions, but really this is a discussion item for you.
Any comments? You also see a potential next meeting dates in September and December as well, September 12th and December 12th.
So are you asking if we want to have the discussion now or have a separate meeting for that?
This agenda item is set up for discussion if you're prepared to have it, or to give further direction to staff to bring back additional research for additional discussions. But, yeah.
And you presented earlier the different kinds of ways of having revenue generated as far as the roads are concerned. That was in an earlier presentation that you made. And you also had that attached to the document or two. So.
And I attached the most recent presentation because there was some changes in the state legislature over this last session, most notably the 1/10 of 1% boardmatic that did not require a vote of the people.
Right.
But I can certainly bring it
Would the council
back.
prefer to have this set for another date to talk about it? That's what I'm hearing or seeing generally.
Okay.
Would you want to have it for the September 12th meeting? Since we have that one scheduled?
Sounds reasonable.
And you can review the different presentations at that time?
Sure.
There might be even a meeting prior to that as a discussion item, so that usually works very well with this council. So we have a discussion item, the previous meeting, and then we make a decision on the 11th.
Sure, and that's what I want to continue with. The intent is to be able to give direction, bring us items. I know we have our one-on-ones coming up. Unfortunately, I had to, because I'm going to be gone in July, but certainly we have some time in August to discuss these, and you can always reach out to me as well. But thank you. I can do that. I'm ready. Sorry.
And I assume you're okay with those potential dates of the 12th in September and also December. With that, I'm adjourning the meeting.
Well, sorry, one more.
Well, I'm quick on this one.
Yeah, sorry. The material change policy is the next agenda item.
Okay.
I would like to tackle this one tonight if at all possible. So as per RCW and our city code, a material change policy is required, and the policy must at least address material changes to cost, scope, and schedule of transportation benefit district funded projects. So at a minimum, the event when a transportation improvement cost is to exceed 20% of the original plan, the governing body must hold a public hearing to solicit comments from the public of how the cost change should be resolved. So really, we're talking about 3 points of material change: cost, scope, and the second page, material change to schedule. So what you see before you is based on a lot of research, and what we found is, through all that research, everything's kind of cookie cutter in this state. There's a few different words here, there, depending on whose, but this sample set of wording came from a couple different cities. But again, if you look at these kind of one over the other, they look very much the same. Comment about the material change language, specifically the redundancy in the 20%, always referring back to the cost. That was something that really kind of jumped out to me as a recovering accountant. The accountant will never die. But, you know, although this language does appear to be redundant, it could be beneficial for a time in the future when a material change does occur in one of the 3 areas, and to help point city staff at that time to make sure you're always looking back as if the scope or the schedule has a material change, does it also have a cost material change? So that's why that language was included in there for the discussion. But this is just presented for discussion purposes, and edit can easily be made, and we can bring back the board a clean document. But one of the things that the Transportation Benefit Board does have to do is adopt a material change policy. So I'd be happy to answer questions or discuss.
See, you're going for your mic, so.
Sorry. Thank you, Mayor. I had a question as it relates, if we look at our projects that are within the transportation ones, is there going to be a situation where we could have a 20% change, but it's realistically like $5,000 total? I mean, would there be value in a dollar amount in addition to the 20%? So we're looking above a certain dollar amount and then the 20%?
That's a really good question, and this is the moment I wish the city attorney would have been able to be in here tonight. But the RCW is silent on that. It talks about a percentage. It doesn't talk about a dollar amount. So I would defer to the percentage would be my initial reaction. But I can do some additional research that if a dollar amount could be substituted in place. But, you know, my initial thought is if it's an RCW, if it's 20%, then it's 20% dollar amount excluded.
And then as a follow-up, if we look at the transportation improvement projects we've done for the last 2 years, how many of those exceeded that 20% and would have required to come back for a public hearing?
I could have researched that. If I can't tell you for sure. I can tell you that in the time that I have been here, I do not believe anything has gone over cost by 20%,
Okay.
unless we've done, no, I don't think that one even went over 20%, but I want the opportunity to go back and confirm that was the
Because our
case.
bids have gone over our estimate, but the actual costs, I don't think have. So this 20% really is an extraordinary situation as opposed to a common practice, in my expectation.
I don't disagree with that, and then there's been, I think, some times, I'm thinking of one project where it came in under the value, so we did some add amounts. So the original amount was approved. We did some change orders to bring it up, but I still think that was under 20%.
Thank you.
Other questions? Anyone have any suggestions on this? I assume you might have a recommendation, or coming from Public Works uses this.
Yeah, I shopped this to Public Works and got some feedback from them. And the recommendation is, unless there's some language in here that was particularly concerning, we'd like to be able to bring this back at the next meeting as an item for possible adoption. There's no projects right now, so we would want to have this on the docket before we were starting to fund projects. The language was a little bit more of my, I guess, concerning a little bit of my preference in there, always making sure that we're going back to how does the material change in scope and schedule affect the cost. So always being able to keep that in mind. But I don't think it's redundant to a fault. I just think it's a little redundant, and, well, sometimes that happens in government.
So at this point, you can come back, councils look this over, and we can come back with basically a resolution or ordinance on this to take care of the issue, right?
Sure.
Okay. Everybody agrees with that? Okay. Now, we will adjourn the meeting, the special meeting of the Transportation Improvement District, and we now convene the meeting of the City Council. Is there any new business to come before the council tonight? Then seeing none, then I am going to adjourn this City Council meeting for an executive session pursuant to While the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act do not apply to discussions relating to the interpretation or application of labor agreement, or that portion of a meeting during which the governing body is planning or adopting a strategy or position to be taken during the course of a collective bargaining, professional negotiations or grievance or mediation proceedings, or reviewing the proposals made during the course of negotiations or proceedings, City Council is announcing its intention to discuss such matters in executive session. Executive session will last approximately 5 minutes. If it becomes necessary to add, we will announce that outside of the meeting. So it is now 7:56. I'll give you 4 minutes to get to the room meeting. We will convene the meeting at 8 o'clock and technically should end by 8:05. With that, I hear a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn?
Moved and seconded. Okay. Pat second? Yep. Becky first. 8:05, we made it.
All in favor?
That's got to be a first.